Welcome to Monday Motivations, 52 weeks to a more purposeful you. This week, we are going to be talking about encouragement. I'm Corry Mendoza, and I have my friend Fallon Paul. Fallon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we're doing it a little bit different this week. We're doing it in person, which like right away, I just loved it when we were scheduling. Fallon, she messaged me and she's like, can we do this in person? I'm like, absolutely. So we're in my living room. For those of you who don't know Fallon, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. The way that we met, I'm trying to remember how we met. Well, I know it was because I had a need to recover my Bible. So I had an old Bible that was literally falling apart. I thought about getting a new one, but I have all my notes and all my memories in here of little things. So I wanted to keep my Bible. And Fallon is a leather maker. I know. It was at the Granite Bay Trophy place.
Yes, they referred you.
Yes.
For your son's, it was first your son's Bible.
Yeah, first my son's Bible. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I bought Jaden a Bible and I wanted his name engraved. And yeah, so that's how we met. And it was just great to get to know her. She was so kind and loving and jumped through a lot of hoops because it was the deadline, right?
Yes. So I initially I'm usually at least 3 to 6 months out as far as my workflow goes. And she called and I'm like, she's saying it's for my son for his birthday, and I'm like, but a mom, Bible, son's in the military. I'm like, well, I can't say no.
Yeah, exactly. So she squeezed me in, and Jaden got his Bible in time for his birthday. And now, like, I feel like it's the start of a new friendship. And she said yes to being on the show and talking about encouragement.
Yes.
So thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know Fallon, here's a little bit about her. So she's one of the most unique people I've ever met. I mean, who knows a leather engraver, okay? Or a bootmaker. I mean, because that's the real thing you do is you make boots, right?
Yes, I make custom cowboy boots, leather work, but primarily custom cowboy boots. But
Yeah.
I do other, I make bags and other things.
Ooh, I need
I
a
make
bag.
lotion.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. When she brought me my Bibles, she brought me like gifts. I got body lotion, chapstick. I was like, what does this woman not do?
Well, and that was because you were graduating.
Yes.
So that's why.
Yeah. I was graduating from William Jessup Biblical Studies certificate, and so you're so sweet.
Yes.
It's so sweet. Okay. So the basically a little bit about you. Grew up in Northern California in the foothills, on a ranch. Family is everything for Fallon.
Yes.
It's all about her values. So I'll just kind of read. I would say that family is who makes her who she is today. It's the start of her deep love for all things Western culture. So basically growing up on a ranch, grew such a love for all things Western culture, from old barns to horses to leather to working hard to creating something from nothing. Boy, do we need some of that today. To caring for the land animals and each other, to music, to art, to the love of country, to keeping your word. We need more of that in the world. I need to watch all the things I say I'm going to do. I'm already getting something out of this. To faith, to sitting down at grandma's farm table to share a meal together we all had as part of growing up. And you still have that same table.
I do.
Yep. Yeah. So in your family, it's your husband, your 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
What are their ages again?
Moses is 22. And Elijah just turned 15, and then Noah is 13, 12 or 13. I know. I'm always messing.
I know. The kids, I mean, just when we get used to one age, they turn another birthday.
I don't remember my age. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's 12 or 13.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
he's not a teenager. He's approaching a teenager. So
Yes, yes.
well, so what did you think about this week's topic on encouragement?
I loved it. As I read it, one of the things that stood out to me was the question of what would it take. So I am the person that's always like, what can I do? So
Mm.
I was just reflecting on it, that when someone's in need, and I do try to listen, because sometimes people just need to talk about something.
There's a phone ringing and this never happens, but somebody might be in need.
Is it a land phone?
Yeah.
Oh,
We still have a landline.
wow.
Yeah. And
Do you need to go answer it?
no, because nobody has our number. So it's definitely a telemarketer.
Okay. So I think for me, what stood out was, a lot of times it's, well, what can I do? But asking the what can be done. And a friend this week was sharing some struggles they were going through, and I changed my question, because normally my question would be, what can I do? But I asked, well, what can be done? And honestly, what we came to was, there wasn't anything that could be done. So then what do you do after that?
Yeah.
If there's nothing you can do in that situation, then you move forward. So I don't know, I thought that stood out to me.
Yeah, and a couple of points about that is I think when we come from an approach of what can I do, we're showing up for a friend in more of a rescuer role.
Yes.
But what can be done, it opens it up to almost a little bit of what can you do? How can I support you? So yeah, it's more solution oriented.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are things that you can do in certain situations, but I'm like, okay, well, in different situations, I'm gonna think what can be done. And in some of them, there might not be anything you can do. And then the should, that's always, I don't like the shoulds, immediately put me on the defense.
Oh yeah.
So when you were talking about the should do, I think for anybody that just puts you on the defense. When you say, I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
can't stand when someone says to me,
Me
you
neither.
should.
Yeah.
Even when my son says you should take this road, I'm like,
Stop shooting on me.
yeah. I don't like that. So that was easy. Now I catch myself doing it.
Yeah.
But I do catch myself, not all the time, but I think, no. That's just, even if it is, it's just a word that puts people on the defense. So
Yeah,
I
so
liked that.
replacing should with what do you want or what must, what do I choose?
There's so many better words than should.
Nobody likes it.
No, nobody likes it, and we all use it. I know
Yeah.
I do. I know I catch myself saying should, or you should have this, but it doesn't do anything, and it immediately puts you on the defense.
It's not encouraging.
No, it's not encouraging.
It's discouraging.
And the other thing that stood out to me was that, for me, I was thinking about it, and it's really, one, encouragement. Why not encourage somebody anytime you can? And I feel like in my day-to-day life, I do a pretty good job of that for other people. I don't do it for myself. I mean, I'm saying stuff to myself that I would never say to other people. So I was thinking about that, like reading this brought that up because I love I love encouraging people. But I don't do a good job of it for myself. Um, and the other thing is that it really is, speaking of oxygen to the soul,
Mhm.
well, it really is a matter of the heart. I mean, it really isn't, when you think about encouraging, it really is a matter of the heart. It's not always, so if you're being encouraged or discouraged, it affects
Your
you
heart.
here.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Um, and I definitely, thankfully, was brought up that your words have power. So I am conscious of that, and I definitely think encouragement words are powerful.
Mhm.
And I think, um, I think we all have that mental dialogue in your own self, your own mind, that you're telling yourself, so you can even encourage yourself or discourage yourself too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and I like how you're bringing up that it's a matter of the heart and how important it is to encourage ourselves because it can be hard to have self-compassion.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if we don't have self-compassion and our hearts aren't open and we're discouraging ourselves and our hearts are closed, even those around us won't be able to penetrate and
Yes, it's very hard for me to accept
yeah.
encouragement for others, but I have no problem encouraging others. I don't know how that worked out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that worked out, but I mean, it's something I'm conscious of, but I definitely, fall into that a
Hmm.
lot. Um,
Yeah, the last couple of days, I've noticed it in the dynamics with my husband and I. Like I've been really critical of myself and it's been hard to like he even sent me a text this morning. I apologized to him for something and I'm like, I'll be better. And then he texts back and he's like, I love you exactly how you are. I accept you exactly how you are. And I literally heard my mind was like, no, you need to do better. Like, but a matter of the heart is like love is unconditional.
yeah.
So it's like I'll probably do better when I'm receiving the
Hmm.
encouragement,
Yes.
and having the self-compassion and
Yes.
yeah. I think
Yes.
everybody that's listening probably feels similar.
Yeah, I don't think that we're alone in those
Mm-mm,
thoughts at all.
mm-mm. And
And then I was thinking about, it's far as the to yourself, it's happening in your mind,
yeah,
but it's got to be affecting here.
yeah, yeah.
So being able to, reframe those things you're telling yourself. But I definitely, even, yeah, if somebody gives a compliment, it's like I have a hard time with it.
Right. Just receiving, like
Yes, yes,
just saying thank you.
yes.
Yeah. Like I was like, I love your dress. Oh, this whole thing. No,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Just being like, oh, thank you. I love it too.
yeah, yeah. It
Oh,
is hard for me.
yeah.
And I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. Um, but being conscious and working,
Mhm.
being, yeah.
And that's kind of why I do these Monday motivations and all the topics in the book. They're very simple topics, but it's just good refreshers for us to stay encouraged. It does say Monday motivations to motivate, but it's yeah, it's to stay built up and encouraged and so we can be more purposeful. And you mentioned being aware. So, how do you think you'll keep the awareness of receiving encouragement after today?
Um, I think that, being able to, so a lot of times, um, the busyness of just
Mm.
life can cause the unawareness.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to have time to give that reflection and be aware
Mm-hmm.
and be present, and slow down and go, and reframing those thoughts and things I tell myself,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm able to receive, um and being able to be present and aware when we're really, at least I know for me, when I get really busy or overwhelmed, that can go out the window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not always, honestly, it's just, I think, kind of life and ebbs and flows, and it's just not always gonna be
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in those times that I can create that time, sometimes there's just, you fall short.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And when we fall short, it's all about that getting re-encouraged to forgive ourselves, to get back up again. When we're discouraged, it's falling short is just like brutal.
mhm.
It's like,
And another thought I had is, um, again, back to matters of the heart. And when you're discouraged, there is that lack of hope.
yes.
And for me, and I know for you, honestly, or for me, my greatest encourager is God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you find your greatest strength. So busyness again can
Yeah.
take you away. And so where I go to, if I'm feeling low or depleted, well, I need to slow down. I need to pray. I need to lean into faith, because that's your greatest
Mm-hmm.
encouragement. I mean, because everyone around you, as much as they love you or may want to encourage you, sometimes they don't
Right.
have that.
They're gonna fall short.
Yes.
Good
And
thing Rusty texted me nice this morning, but
yeah,
I mean,
it's not
it's not every day he's having a rough day.
yeah. Yeah. And so I was thinking about that too. Well, my greatest encourager and strength, and where I find the most encouragement, is through faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have wonderful people in my life that are encouraging as well. But I never seem to have a hard time taking the encouragement when I lean into faith.
Yeah. Same.
I don't have a hard time finding it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I definitely have a hard time finding it for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we self-reliance and self-strength, self-independence, like we run out, and
Yeah.
it's a lot like, plugging something into the electrical outlet. I love that analogy, with our relationship with God. It's like, I mean, even people that don't believe in God, there's still the universe. I mean, it's still the concept of we need something outside of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to,
Yes.
when we are out of it, when the gas tank is empty, when we're discouraged, like it's sweet surrender. And
Yes.
I was talking with somebody, and I know we've mentioned it. In my I have a little book club, and just the concept of like prayer being a first response instead of a last resort.
Yes.
And I'll catch myself saying, well, there's nothing else I can do but pray. And it's like, well, what if I started there,
Yeah.
like before I deplete myself?
Yeah.
And
yes. And I notice the days that I start off with quality prayer, for me, are much better.
yeah.
And I last much longer than the days I don't.
Yeah. We stay encouraged longer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, kind of starting to wrap up the topic, were there any other points that you wanted to share that you got from it? Are you ready to move on to our famous final question?
I did have a story
Yeah.
that back to from person to person, that I thought it came up through friends, and it was after I had read this, and I'm like, that's a perfect example of somebody encouraging somebody without them even knowing, and it's back to the simple things, the little thing. And a friend of mine shared with me that they were having a really bad day, and uh my brother-in-law coaches football, and he was going to pick up his son from football, and they were in passing, and my brother-in-law is like, on the surface looks like this big, like, people would think like, oh, he's this big scary guy, but he's not. And he's like
Little
a
teddy
big,
bear.
yeah. And so my friend had shared with me, he's like, I was having the worst day, and he shared with me, my brother-in-law uh waved and said, he had a big smile on his face, and he's like, he's like, I needed that, and it changed my whole night. And I'm like, and it
Mhm.
was just a small exchange.
Yeah. Mhm.
And he was like, he was sincerely saying it meant so much to him, and it shifted his
Mhm.
night. And he was like, I really needed that. And I'm like, we can do the simplest things, and you don't know how it's impacting
Mhm.
somebody else.
Oh yeah, I mean, it can be argued that there's no greater gift we can give each other than our undivided attention, because I mean, I recently heard a speaker talking about this loneliness epidemic, and this started before the pandemic,
Yes.
that we have more technology to be connected than ever, and we're lonelier than ever.
Yes.
And part of it is that, actually there's a lyric in, my favorite artist is Brandy Carlisle, and she has a lyric in one of her songs, that says, in a crowded room I'm all alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simple things like that. Like, we can be so busy on our phones walking by. I mean, if your brother-in-law hadn't been conscious and present and aware and didn't have that one positive interaction, that moment would have been missed.
Mhm.
And I think about that every time I go to a cash register at the store, Target, wherever. I might be distracted on my phone or whatever, but at some point I will put it down and I will
Yes.
tell the cashier. I try to ask a unique question instead of how are you. I'll say, what's the best part of your day so far?
Mm-hmm.
And just something that's like, I see you, you're a valuable person,
Yes.
and just creating those magical moments.
Yes.
It's encouraging.
Yes. Yes, and it can be very simple.
Very simple.
Hi, have
Yeah.
a good night. But it can mean something to somebody
Yeah. Yeah.
without you even knowing, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah. So, in closing, on the topic of encouragement, what is your advice to yourself that might inspire other people?
So for me, I think back to um leaning, for me, it's leaning into faith is first. And again, I find those days that I start off the morning a little, that I make that time to be quiet and lean into faith, and um not not that prayer can be surface level, but it can be like a check it
Yeah.
off the list,
Mm-hmm.
not to not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Be specific in my
Mhm.
prayer. And I find that those days I can encourage myself and be much more aware than getting really busy and maybe fall into being agitated and
Mhm.
short, and all the your what I mean, you can name it that I
Yeah.
could pick apart. But the days that I am conscious and present and I start off my day leaning into faith, they go a lot better typically. And then even whatever life throws,
Yeah.
it can be easier to juggle and handle.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I think I said the electric outlet earlier, but now I'm going to use a new metaphor of like charging our phones,
Yes.
right? Like if we wake up in the morning and we didn't charge our phone, there's no battery. And then we try to open up the navigation app and it's like crashes, just dies. And I think that's spot on for me as well. So I'm going to be inspired by your suggestion and hope everybody else is getting something out of this. Let's encourage ourselves. Let's encourage each other. And thank you so much for being on the show. And for anybody who wants any amazing leather work, plan for about a 3 to 6 month turnaround.
Yes.
It's worth it. You should have seen my son's Bible. This thing was falling apart. I'm thinking about maybe I need some new cowgirl boots. I'm actually going to look into the bag situation because we can't have enough bags. So
Yeah.
where can everybody find you?
I am on
Instagram. Okay.
And then my website is Fallon Custom Boots.
Fallon, so FALLON customboots.com.
Yes.
Awesome. And then what is it on Instagram?
Fallon Paul.
Fallon Paul. Yep. And you make really fun reels, by the way.
I try to, so I try to get when I'm working.
Yeah.
It's like looks really fast, but it's actually not that fast. But
yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool.
But people tend to enjoy if you like watching that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So while I'm working, but
it's encouraging. Use your talents. This girl's using her talent. So all right, we'll see everyone next week. Monday Motivations. Thank you.